And it is time to get started. Hey, welcome to At The Track Live. My name is Coach James. I am the creator and the lead instructor for All About Aerodynamics. What is All About Aerodynamics, you ask? Glad you asked. Even if you didn't ask, All About Aerodynamics is a science program where I use Hot Wheels cars to teach kindergarten through 6th grade students about a range of science and physics-related topics, including, but not limited to, aerodynamics, drag, lift, kinetic energy, potential energy, Isaac Newton and his 3 laws of motion, push, pull, scale, elastic force. If I said that already, I'm saying it again. But there are a whole range of science topics that we go through. We conduct experiments to drive home those concepts, and after the science has been learned, after we've had discussions to drive home those concepts, then and only then do I bring in about 400 different Hot Wheels cars, and each student selects a Hot Wheels car they think would be fastest in a series of races based on everything they've learned in the course up to that point. They select their car, they examine their car, they take pictures of their car, they test the speed of their car, they weigh their car, they check the year the car was manufactured, they enter all of that information into a spreadsheet. Once they have observed and documented all they can about their cars, then they set up a 1/64th scale quarter-mile drag strip, and we have a series of races, and they observe how their cars perform. Did their cars perform up to or below their expectations? And if they had the opportunity to do it again, would they choose that car, or would they make a different selection based on their observations? So, we have fun with Hot Wheels cars, we learn science, and what could be better. It's a great program, and if you would like more information on All About Aerodynamics, then you can visit our website, aaAerodynamics.com, or you can visit our Instagram account, aaAerodynamics, and all of the information and links are in the bio. You can send me a message if you want to, and figure out how to bring our program to your school or your organization or your special event. We have a range of programs that can fit any number of students or any time constraints that you may have. So AA Aerodynamics is where you find out more information about our science program. But this is not all about aerodynamics. This is all about Aerodynamics presents At The Track Live. So what is At The Track Live? Well, before I can bring those cars in for the students to use, I have to make sure that I know exactly which cars I'm taking to the schools so that I can bring them back, so that I can put them and keep them organized in the right places. But before I can do that, I have to take a picture of the cars. I have to take a short video of the car, because there's an online version of All About Aerodynamics, and the students need to be able to see the cars. And I have to document some information, put the car, assign the car a number, and put it into a spreadsheet, so that I can be sure that I know which cars I am taking to the school, so I know which cars I'm bringing back. And more importantly, with At The Track Live, we introduce new cars into the fleet. So new cars that I take the picture, I take the video, I enter them into the spreadsheet, and then they become a part of our fleet. Once the cars are a part of our fleet, then students have the opportunity to select those cars at the tail end of the science program. After I introduce the 6 cars every week on At The Track Live, since the track is already set up, we have a little mini tournament. And we race the cars, best 2 out of 3 races, and the car that emerges is that day's champion. And that day's champion gets the opportunity to take on our fastest in fleet car. And our fastest in fleet car is the car that has that won the tournament the previous week. In the case of our current fastest in fleet car, it has been winning the tournaments and beating the cars that won the tournament for several weeks now. And it is looking like that car it's on a path to, I believe the date was March 29th. On March 29th, our current fastest in fleet car, and let me show it to you. It's this car right here. It is the Gazella R. It is our fastest in fleet car. And let me get a little bit more light on the Champ. Right there. It is the car that has been dominant. And when I say dominant, I mean dominant, because it really hasn't faced too many serious challenges. And it is hands down one of the fastest cars, if not the fastest Hot Wheels car that I've ever seen. And it took out a car that was previously the fastest Hot Wheels car I'd ever seen, which was the Blitz Speeder. And the Blitz Speeder was champion for 17 weeks. So as the Gazella R keeps beating cars and being dominant, I decided that, you know what? If the Gazella R can match the Blitz Speeder's record of 17 weeks as champion, then we will have a rematch. We will have a champion versus champion rematch, and it will be the Blitz Speeder versus the Gazella R. And we will find out whether or not the Gazella R is just that fast, which we know it's a fast car, but maybe the Blitz Speeder had some bad luck on the track, got a couple of bad launches, and had to give up the title. So unless we can find a car to beat the Gazella R in the meantime, then the Gazella R is on the march to March 29th to the showdown with the Blitz Speeder. But there's always the possibility that we find a car that is faster than the Blitz Speeder and will become our new fastest in fleet champion. And when I say we, I do mean we, because you have the opportunity to participate in this process. All you have to do is go to AtTheTrack.live. When you go to AtTheTrack.live, you will have three options. One is the YouTube stream link, the other is the Twitch stream link. Neither of those, you don't need either of those, because if you're watching now, you're already in one of those places, or you're watching after the fact. But the third link, and the most important link, is the one that says choose a car. If you select choose a car, it will take you to this page. And on this page, you will see all of the cars that are currently in the All About Aerodynamics at the Track Live fleet, which the number now, we are up to, I will tell you momentarily. Let's see. We are up to car number, we have 804 cars. 804 different Hot Wheels cars for you to choose from. And you can scroll through. All of the cars are cataloged. All of the cars are photographed. So when you see a car that you think would be faster than one of the cars that I introduced today, then all you have to do is select that car. You can go to the car. You can click on it. And let's say you think it is this one. Let's say you think it is Scupa de Fuego, this one. And you click on it, you take a look at it. The cars are sitting on a mirror base, so you can tell, you can see the bottom. And you can determine if it's a plastic body on a metal base or a metal body on a plastic base. Or in some cases of our older cars, they are metal on metal. And if any of those factors are important to you, then you can make those selections and take those factors into consideration and then pick the car. So if this is the car that you think would be faster than whatever cars get introduced, all you have to do is take the number, in this case 216. So you drop 216 into the chat, and then I will go and pull that car because I have them cataloged and organized. And once I pull the cars, then I will take a look at those. Take a look at your car, weigh your car, see how it measures up against the other cars that are being introduced. And then, of course, all that's left to do is hit the track. We hit the track and race the cars and see if the car that you pick or one of the cars that is introduced is the fastest of the day. And then that car will get the opportunity to challenge the Gazella R for the fastest in fleet title. We have seen trends of cars that do well on the track, especially in recent months, but there's so many different types of cars. There are wide cars, narrow cars, taller cars, shorter cars. There are character cars, cars based on actual cars. There are some kind of premium cars. There are mainline basic cars. There are cars from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. And as you'll see today, we have a few that are straight, some of the newest Hot Wheels available to purchase. We have cars like this Corvette Stingray. This is one that I had when I was a kid. It is metal on metal. It is heavy, but you'll notice it's sitting on these gold Hot Ones wheels. Those wheels indicate that this car has a nickel-plated axle, which reduces the friction and allows the wheels to spin more freely and quickly. And some of these cars are very fast. The problem is, the trade-off is that this car is metal on metal, so it's going to be a lot heavier. And as we've seen on our track, heavy cars, heavier is not necessarily the way that you want to go. Our track is not a gravity track. It is a flat drag track with a custom launcher that fires the cars out at a very high rate of speed. And ultimately, heavy cars toward the back end of the track tend to slow down. Gravity really does its thing, and between the gravity, the friction, and the drag, the heavier cars just don't really tend to do well at the back end of the track, and therefore they don't win. And I would stay away from cars from the 70s, these metal on metal cars. But hey, you never know. Maybe this car, because of the design and the fact of the design combined with the gold Hot Ones wheels and the nickel-plated axles, that might make a difference. And this car might outperform my expectations. So that's sort of the fun part, is that there are 800 different Hot Wheels cars, and we have a champion. Statistically, of these 804 cars, basically 803 if you subtract the Gazella R, you would think that if the Gazella R had to race 803 cars, that there would be one car in there, at least, that was faster than the Gazella R. You would think. But the trick is trying to find that car. And you have that opportunity. So as you scroll through and examine the cars, take a look at the cars, if you decide you've found a car that you think is faster than the Gazella, all you have to do is click on it, select that number, drop it in the chat. I will pull that car, and we will see exactly how it turns out. So that is what is coming up. So you've got a chance to look through. Just go to AtTheTrack.live, select choose a car, and you are ready to go. All right, let's see here. We have a bunch of cars to look at today, but one thing, something I bought just last night, I like to show the students, part of the course, show them a picture of a truck, show them a picture of like a supercar, a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, and I'm asking them which one they think would be faster in a race. And then once they start to give their answers, and this is at the beginning, so they're just throwing out answers and reasons why they think one would be faster than the other. But then as we start to talk about the way air and drag, the way air has an impact on fast-moving objects, it's easier to have some visuals that they can put behind that. So I was in Target last night and I saw two cars, and I picked up, and these are larger, these aren't Hot Wheels, and that's sort of the point, is that they are bigger, so it's better visual for the students in person. But I picked up this is the Woody the Sheriff Volkswagen bus, and I picked this up. One, it's kind of cool. I kind of like these buses, and I've mentioned before I like that new ID Buzz, even though the fact that it starts at $70,000 has put me out of contention to purchase one. But nevertheless, I bought this because when I asked the students about, do they think that this would be fast, do they think if this was in the real world or in a race, why do they think this would be fast or slow for whatever reason. And then I also bought, to compare, I bought this Fast and Furious Lamborghini. This is from, I think it was featured in probably that last, the most recent Fast and Furious movie. But it's orange, so I ended up going with the orange car. I like orange cars. And so basically I will show both of these cars, and then the students will have to give me their explanation and rationale as to why they think one would be faster than the other. And it's basically the lead in to a discussion about aerodynamics and drag and all of the various forces that will impact a car's speed. But this is kind of cool. I like this. I wish it some more detail in the paint, but I remember that the actual car from the movie, it was just an orange Lamborghini. This one, I believe the door, yep, doors raise up, but that's not the point. So it's not always just, I'm not always in the market strictly for Hot Wheels cars. Sometimes there's some other cars that get in there, and this one's got a lot of details. The door opens up, but and it actually there was a surfboard. Oh, yeah, there's a surfboard. Sits right on top, and it also came with a little Woody, which I'm sure I will be giving away to a student because I have no use for Woody. Sorry, Woody, but that's how it is. Anyway, that's the custom Woody Toy Story. They even have a little, on the license plate, little Toy Story VW bus that will be helpful in explaining to students about aerodynamics and how the shape of these vehicles does impact their ability to be as fast as the next car. All right, let's see. We have a range of cars to choose from, and a good friend of the channel donated several cars, and I think we will be pulling at least a couple of those. I'm going to kind of spread it out, but we have a good selection, and I always say that the Gazella might be in a little bit of trouble. There's at least one or two cars that I think possibly could give the Gazella R a run for its money. So let's see. Now, I was looking through the storage and some of the cars that I'd picked up, and I saw this one, the Milk and Cookies Quick Bite, and it's just a variation of the. I have a version of this that is an ice cream truck. There's one that says hot wings or hot chicken on it. There's just essentially it's the same car. They just put different designs on it, but it's way too tall to make it down our track, and it would obviously be pretty slow. I just kind of liked it, and at some point I'm going to take these, and maybe if it's even dragging out my gravity track and setting up some kind of race there, maybe I'll do that. But this was just one in the bag that I picked up. But that is not going to be a candidate to race today. We are going to start off with we'll go with one of the cars that was donated. Here we go. We're going to start off with this one, this hatchback. This is the Cupra E-Racer, and looks like a Civic hatchback, but it is not. I'm pretty sure. Oh no, this is an actual car. On the back it says Cupra, and the Cupra logo are registered trademarks owned by Seats SA. All right, so okay. I don't know which country this. It's apparently an electric hatchback. I don't know what countries Cupras are available in. I'm in the United States, and I don't recall ever hearing of or seeing a Cupra. But this is the Cupra E-Racer. So this is going to be the first car entered into the fleet today. So let's go ahead and crack this open. All right, we got the Cupra E-Racer, and see how much it weighs. The Cupra E-Racer weighs in at 34.5 grams. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that the Gazella is like 32.3. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Cupra E-Racer. Get this off, and let's go here. All right, so we have a standard hatchback. Go ahead and get some video of this car as it comes around. Lock that in. And one of the things I always check for, first off, is the back end of the car. And is the back end flat? That is key, because the way the launcher is designed, it's a square block that pushes the cars out. So you really want the cars pressed up against that block, and you want as much surface area touching the car or touching the launching block as possible. Because what I've observed is that cars that have a lot of surface area touching the launching block tend to get more consistent launches, and the launch is so key and critical, because cars that get bad launches tend to bounce around the track, and it creates additional friction and just other problems that are not conducive to trying to win a race. So we've got the Cupra E-Racer, and it's got that wing in the back. The wing sticks out further than the back end of the car, so that is the only part of the car that will be touching the launching block, and we're going to find out whether or not that is going to be a plus or a minus. So like when we look right here, we can see how far that wing sticks out beyond the back end of the car. So how that will impact the car, I'm not sure. When we look at the Gazella, for example, that wing also sticks out a little further than the back end of the car, but it's not as extreme. Well, I mean, it's out there, but this seems a little more significant. So the car is going to get its push higher up, and we're going to find out how that impacts the car coming out of the launcher. Let me arrange it here so we can get the still picture. And I like this plum color with the gold accents. I like this. This is a good looking car. And I'm going to zoom on in here and check it out. I like this one. This is the Cupra E-Racer. Let me turn it just a bit. Maybe right there. Cupra E-Racer, and got it. All right, so let me check the year that it was manufactured. It should be 2024, I presume. Yep, 2024. So we now have the Cupra E-Racer that is ready to go. And that is our first car of the day, and it is car number 805. Wow, 805. I should kind of calculate out, because at some point we should be, sometime late spring. No. Trying to think. When will we... Well, March 29th is when we're going to hopefully have the Gazella Blitz Speeder Showdown. And let's see. Will that happen? It might not happen. If this Cupra E-Racer can defeat the Gazella, if any of these cars can defeat the Gazella, then all bets are off. So let's see. Up next, I picked up this car. I just like the look of it, and I thought I already had one, and I'm going to double check to make sure that I don't. This is the 98 Subaru Impreza. I don't know if those are 2s or Z. So let's just say 22B STI version. So once again, this is the 98 Subaru Impreza. Oh, 2, is that a, no, that's a B. That's not an 8. Try again. It's fun, just because the font that they're using, the 8 and the 8 and the B look very similar, as do the 22 and the Z, but now that I'm seeing a Z in Impreza, not so much. So let me try again. This is the 98 Subaru Impreza 22B STI version. That is a mouthful, but it won't matter if I already have one in the fleet. So let me just double check. And this is why the spreadsheet is critically important. Let's go to 98. And we have a 98 Honda Prelude, and that is it. That's the only car representing for 1998 until now. Now we've got the 98 Subaru Impreza 22B STI version, and it's part of the 90s themed cars. And we are going to take a closer look. Hey, Roughshot, how you doing? Happy Saturday. Glad you're here. No worries, no worries. We've only introduced one other car, and we are introducing our second car, which is this one, the Subaru. I'm gonna have this name. This name's clearly gonna get me. But the Subaru Impreza 98 Subaru Impreza 22B STI version, and let's go ahead and get this one. It's a pretty good angle right there. Lock it in. And so these first two cars have been smaller. Not small like that Ami, not small like that weird electric car that we looked at. So not, where is it? Here it is. They are not small like that, but they are just smaller cars. They aren't as as long as some of the other cars that we have seen. So we've got a hatchback, and now we've got the Subaru 98 Subaru Impreza 22B STI version. Let me get the video. Presuming I took, yeah, all right. Get this spinning. We can take a look all around. And this is a car that I think, similar to the Cupra, I think it should do well, but based on what we've seen from the Gazella, that's going to be a tall order, because that car has just a different level of speed, seemingly. And it is, let's see, I am going to go in here because I've got to enter this long name for car number 806. 806, about 806 characters in the name. This is the 98 Subaru Impreza 22B dash ST small I version. 22B STI version. Okay. And the back end of the car is flat enough, just standard bumper. It's got a little mini wing, but I don't know that wing is necessarily going to impact the car's overall performance all that much. And it's strange with this one. It's almost like they ran out of paint or just got tired. So if you look at the front, indicator lights have some paint. Headlights have some paint. The front grille has some paint. The badge on the front has some paint. But then when we get around to the back, it's just white. If you already had, you already had the paint out, couldn't you just throw a little bit on the tail lights? Or I don't know. It's just one of these decisions. And at some point, if I go back to some Hot Wheels related event, I will, and get a chance to speak to the designers again, I'll ask them about things like this and how those decisions get made. I mean, I'm sure it's a monetary thing, but it's like you already did this. Would it really have cost that much more to just put something on the taillights? I don't know. Maybe it does. I have no idea about that practice, but hopefully I will get the opportunity to get those questions answered. Nevertheless, the question that needs to be answered today is which car is going to be fastest. So we have the Cupra E-Racer, and we have the 98 Subaru Impreza 22B STI version right here. And I see that we've got, let me check the manufacturing year. This is 2019. And did I check the weight? I don't know if I checked the weight. Let's see. The weight, oh. Let the scale reset to 0. Now check the weight. The weight is 34 grams, so it's just a little, slightly lighter than the Cupra, but a little, about 2 grams lighter, roughly 1.5, 2 grams lighter than the Gazella. And the year was 2019. And we are now going to go over here because it looks like Roughshod has made his pick, and he's going with 412, the Velocita, and we are going to take a look. So it looks good, not sure on the weight, and that's one of the things is that you can really, your selection is really limited to just shape and whether or not it's metal on plastic, plastic on metal, metal on metal. And we are going to see, he said it was 412. Going down here, boom, okay. The Velocita. And this one has the Tokyo Olympics, the COVID Olympics branding, and it is a fantasy car, definitely. And we are going to find out how it performs on the track. And one of the other things is that with the still pictures, and especially this angle, I should have turned the car a little bit more clockwise, but you really can't get a sense of the back of the car. And with these races, the back of the car is pretty important. So I'm trying to be aware now when I take pictures of that angle. And so this one, when I took this one, I wasn't taking that into consideration. But I think the back end is probably, my guess is it's going to be, you can tell that the car seems to be getting more narrow at the back end. And it's probably a little curved, but we will see. Definitely the overall shape is in line with something that cars that do well on the track. So we'll see how this all kind of plays out in the end. Let me write this down, 412, because I will be going to pull that car a little later. And let's see. Looks like the small spoiler. Yeah, that spoiler in the back, we're going to take a look because it's hard to tell if the bumper is sticking out a little further, but that spoiler might be the point of contact. And what would be very good is if the spoiler stuck out just as much as the bumper, and so then the launching block was pressing up against the bumper and that spoiler. So those would be great things to happen with this car. So I'll pull that one in just a little bit. So let's go back and see what other cars are in. Okay, next up is one that I pulled, that I picked, and I am thinking that this might give a serious challenge to the Gazella and some of the other cars. And this is the Oracle Red Bull Racing Formula One car. And it is, I've seen the actual car. This is definitely modeled after a real car. But there's a lot about this that makes me think it should do very well on the track. So I'm going to go ahead and crack this open and we'll take a look. Let's see, what's it say on the back? Formula One. Embrace the pinnacle of motorsports as Formula One makes its grand debut on the iconic orange track. Including F1 teams, these open-wheeled single-seat racers are ready for some serious Hot Wheels racing. So I guess, just based on this, we're going to start to see more actual F1 branded cars. And the thing that's kind of interesting though is that I could be completely wrong, but it seems that most of the F1 cars are similar, kind of like NASCAR, where there's different cars, but they're relatively similar. It's the actual tuning of the engine and the sort of mechanics, but the overall design seems to be the same. So I'm wondering with the F1 series if the cars will actually be different or if it will be more or less the same body style, just with different logos and branding and design. I don't know. I have no idea. That's just a guess. But we've got this one. We're going to crack it open, see how it does on the track. We might have an F1 takeover if this does what I think it might do. So let's see. All right. Oracle Red Bull Racing. Check the weight. It doesn't seem very heavy. And it is not. 26.3 grams. So it is 6 grams lighter than the than the Gazella R. And we are going to take a look at this because I think this car might be Might be the one. Might be the one. So here we go. Let me put the different background in there. Actually, I might not be able to because I changed the light setup, and this background might not fit. Kind of. There we go. There we go. All right, that's good enough. Just don't want to have a dark blue car against a dark blue background because then it's not really going to be much to see. So as it comes around here, let me back out. All right, here we go. So with this car, we are looking at a Formula One car, and so it's an open wheel car, which I don't typically try to keep those away from the track, but you can see that it's protected. The front wheels are protected, so in the event that this car crashes, it will not damage the axles. But look at that back end. It's kind of got what we were just talking about with Roughshods pick. What we were hoping for is that the spoiler, in this case the wing, comes off and is even with the back end. This one, that is the case. So that means that that wing and the that back bumper will be pressed up against the launching block and firing this car out. And it is light. It is aerodynamically sound, because that's the whole point of the F1 cars. And I think this car may be the car. This car may be the car. Now it will need to stay straight on the track. It is narrow, and we have seen that narrow cars, the combination of being narrow and light, can make for some interesting crashes. But it's really gonna be this is really the car that I think, of all the ones we've seen so far, I think this one has the best shot of perhaps making a little bit of history on our track. Trying to get a little bit more light in there, zoom in, and get that in there. And we now have the Oracle Red Bull Racing F1 car. And this so far is definitely my pick. When I saw it in the store, I was kind of thinking, yeah, this might be the car. And we are going to find out. And so I'm excited to see how this one performs. And we will get to that in just a little bit. Let me plug this light in here. All right. So now let me check the manufacturing year on this one. And it is 2024. So another of the newer cars that we have here. So far we have the Cupra E-Racer. We have the 98 Subaru Impreza 22B STI version. And we have the Oracle Red Bull Racing F1 car, which is, again, new for 2025. And with this Formula One, I guess we'll be seeing a lot more of these cars. So that is a good thing just something different. I have I don't have it here. Oh, yes, I do. So I have a whole case full of cars that I had when I was a kid that most of the reason why they can't race on the track is because I played with them when I was a kid, and they are pretty beat up, and the axles are just no good. But this one that I had, this is called the Turbo Streak, and let me put put it over here on the turntable. I loved this car when I was a kid, and it can't race on the track. It's got, you can see that the axles are, or I can see at least, the front axles are a little bent, but it's also got rubber tires, and so, which look great. It makes the car look great, but it's just, rubber tires, there's too much friction and they don't roll down the track. But this is a really, really good looking car. Interesting is that it's a Michelin branded car with Goodyear tires, but whatever. And I remember this as one of the, Formula One style cars that I had from back in the day, but haven't seen too many. Now there probably are some that I have in the fleet, but it's going to be interesting if Hot Wheels is going to go in this direction, or with this partnership going to be making F1 style cars, and the cars are actually different and it's not just different coloring. That's going to be a pretty interesting and exciting development. And this car, the Turbo Street, I played with this all the time. When it comes around, you can see how this tire is bent up and the axle's bent, and it just kind of curves up. So, but in this case it doesn't matter, because with the rubber tires it wouldn't make the cut anyway. So we are looking at we've got 3 cars introduced so far, plus Roughshod's pick, and I will be pulling that car very soon. Let me put this Turbo Street back right there where it can sit back. All right. And it is time to introduce another car. This is another one that was well, I'll save that one till last because there's an issue. Let's go with this one. Another odd name. This was also donated by the aforementioned friend of the program, and this is the Gordon Murray Automotive T.33. And we had another Gordon Murray car that was, let me double check the spreadsheet so that I can find the name, because it was such a weird, it's car number 767. So not too long ago we had this car. Let's take a look at car 767 and see which one that is. But it was such a strange name, the Gordon Murray. I was thinking that maybe that was the name of a Hot Wheels designer, kind of like if they called something the Larry Wood Corvette or something. But it turns out that there is a company, the Gordon Murray Automotive Group, and they manufacture cars. And if you want to go to GordonMurrayAutomotive.com, you can see the cars that they manufacture, one of which has been turned into a Hot Wheels car that we introduced into the fleet. That is 767. This one, the Gordon Murray Automotive. That's the T50. And this was a good-looking supercar, and it wasn't fast enough to beat the Gazella, but this is it's just a good-looking car. Nice color, nice paint, the metallic orange and black. I like that. But this car is the Gordon Murray Automotive T33, which is a smaller version. Kind of has a little bit of a Lotus meets Ferrari type look, but let's crack it open and see what it's all about. All right, and let's see, how much does it weigh? It feels Feels pretty light. Feels pretty light. This is a lot of smaller cars today. 28.5 grams. So now we have two cars that are significantly lighter than the Gazella, and that doesn't typically happen because the Gazella is not a heavy car by any means. It is it's right in line with the range of cars and the type of cars that tend to do well on the track. So we'll find out how these smaller cars perform. But right now, let me add this car to the fleet, our newest fleet member. This is car number 808. 808. This is the Gordon Murray Automotive T, and this is the T.33. And being that other car was the T50, I'm wondering if the Gordon Murray, are they spending all their time, money, and energy on engineering and designers, and nobody's in the marketing department? Because these names are a little uninspired, but nevertheless. So the back end of the car, it's got a slight curve to it, and I don't know that that's going to shouldn't have too much impact. I think, again, the fact that it's a smaller car and it's not narrow. Again, it's not narrow like a funny car, but it is narrow, and it's narrow enough that it would make me concerned that when it launches out, it's so small, the force is going to be so strong when it fires out that it just starts to bounce around the track. Now, if any of these smaller cars can get a good, solid push and launch, then I think they have the opportunity to win and do well. But it's always a question of what kind of launch is the car going to get. And the Gazella is one of the cars that gets great launches. And even when it doesn't get great launches, it is a car that corrects itself on the track quickly. And when I say corrects itself, the cars can come out of the launcher, they'll fly into the air, they'll hit the top of this acrylic cover that I have over the launch area, they'll come back down to the track. At that point, the question is, are they coming back down and going straight? Did they come out of the launcher at an angle? All of those factors. So the Gazella tends to do whatever it's going to do out of the launcher, but then it straightens out and flies down the track. Some other cars start to bounce back and forth from side to side. Some of the heavier cars get pulled down, and some cars just never right themselves. And especially when you're talking about a car like the Gazella, getting a good launch and staying straight on the track is key. And if you can't do that, you really can't win. But we are going to find out how some of these cars perform and if they're up to the challenge. So we've got this one right here. Turn it just slightly. And all right. So we've got that. We've got the Gordon Murray Automotive T.33. Not to be confused with the T50 that we had earlier a while ago. So let's see. This one, the manufacturing year is 2024, and that's good. Don't know why my chair keeps slipping down, but 2024. Let's get that in there. Okay, so now we've got the Cupra E-Racer. We have the 98 Subaru Impreza 22B STI version. We've got that. We have the Oracle Red Bull racing car, and we have the Gordon Murray Automotive T.33. So we are moving right along. And then we have the car that Roughshod selected, which will bring us to 5. We need 6, so that means we've got one more car to introduce, and I'm going to go with another of the cars that was donated by a friend of the channel, good friend of the channel, and it is this one. Now, this is the Hot Wheels or HW50 Concept. So it's a Hot Wheels concept car. I need to check to make sure we don't already have one, because my concern is that it is an open wheel car, but unlike the Formula One car, the front wheels are not protected. So if this car crashes, the axles are going to get bent and it is going to be out of the running. Okay, so we have a HW40, and this is the HW50 Concept. It's got this sort of rod look to it, and so we are going to, like, I think we have one, the mod rod. Let's see, yep, the mod rod 429. Looks like that. This is just sort of extended out, almost like they took. It's got a little bit of bone shaker around this area, and we'll see how it does on the track. I'm just hoping, and of course hoping, that it doesn't crash, because that is going to mean it's headed to the junk pile. So let's go ahead and crack this open and take a look. All right, let's go ahead and weigh this car. This is pretty interesting. Let's see. 31.2 grams, so it's also lighter than the Gazella. So we've got three cars lighter than the Gazella, which is it's a very unusual thing to have. But let's go ahead and take a closer look at this car. And here it is, the Hot Wheels or HW50 Concept car. And it's got this monster with these googly eyes on the side, and you can see the problem is with the front wheels. They are just right here. So there's a little bar, but the bar for the bumper, it doesn't. If it extended out a little more, like the F1 car, that would be better. But if this car gets a bad launch, these big front tires are going to hit one of the side barriers on the track, and that'll be a wrap. I guarantee it, because the cars come out with just too much force for the axles to resist bending when they slam into those barriers and crash. So we'll see how it turns out. And it's one of the reasons why I introduced this car last, so that I don't have to go back and modify the spreadsheet all that much in the event that it does crash and the axles do get bent. So let's go right here. And all right, enter this one in. This is car number 809. This is the HW50 Concept. And we are just about ready to pull out Roughshod's pick. As we look at this one across the back, so we've had a few cars like this where the back tires stick out beyond the back end of the car. And, well, actually, trying to see, is that the case here? It looks pretty even. With that, there's a small bumper that you can see under that brown part in the middle, and you might not be able to see it on the video, but there you can kind of get a glimpse of it, and it seems to stick out just a little bit further than the back wheels. So I think that little strip of bumper in the back will be the part that presses up against the launching block and when this car gets pushed out. So who knows what kind of launch this is ultimately going to receive, but we are going to be watching and waiting, and very much interested to see how this all plays out. So we now have 5 cars introduced, and with this car it's also interesting because the weight, everything in the front is, all of this is, it's all plastic, and even though this back part is plastic, it definitely does have there's more weight to it, and so it's we'll see how that balance factors in at the end. And let's get rid of that, and let me check the year here. For 2018 is the manufacturing year. 2018. 2018. Yep. And we now have all of the cars that will be competing today, save one. I have to go and pull Roughshod's pick, which was the Velocita, and that is car number 412. So I will go and pull that. I still have not made any other sort of graphic or anything for when I'm going to pull these cars from the storage case, but we have this bathroom break. It's going to say 5 minutes. It's not going to take 5 minutes, but I am going to go grab that car, come back, we'll take a look at it, and then we'll be just about ready to hit the track. So I will be right back. All right, let's go ahead and take a look. I've pulled the Velocita, and this car is metal body on a plastic base, and the weight is 36.2 grams, which makes it one of the heavier cars, but not so heavy that it should be an issue. It's still in the range of cars that tend to do well on the track. And up close, the picture didn't really do this one justice. This is a nice looking car. The color, it's got a metal flake blue paint job with these other, it's got some lavender and light blue accents and white. And yeah, this was a series from the 2020, the COVID Olympics in Tokyo. And as the car comes around, the part that we were talking about was that back end. So when you look at the basic design, I see a little bit of Corvette in there, typical fantasy car stuff, But right there, let's stop right there and look at this back end. So Roughshod was correct that this spoiler is reaching out beyond the back end of the car. So this is the part that will be touching the launching block, and it has a bit, not a bit, it does have a curve to it, so it won't be the full part of the spoiler that's touching. It will really just be just this part right here. This part right there in the middle is the only part that will be touching. How that will impact the car's overall performance, I'm not sure. How it will impact the launch that it gets, I don't know. But it will be interesting to see. Beyond that, the design, if we were to take this car here, and then let me grab the Gazella, you can see that they're not, while they're obviously not identical, you can see some definite themes and things that they have in common. This long hood kind of slope, and then going up into the cockpit area, and then in the case of the Gazella, it's got this elevated wing, and with the Velocita, it's got the spoiler that's pretty high up, right at the roof line. So we'll see how these cars perform, but that's going to be, if that ends up being the matchup, then okay. But the Velocita's got a ways to go. It's got to power through and beat 5 other cars if it is going to get a chance to take a shot at the Gazella. And we have our cars, we have our competitors, we are ready to hit the track and race. And as always, let me just explain, in case this is the first time that you are watching an all about aerodynamics at the track live race, this is the view that you will see when we go to the track. It is our 3-camera race view. The cars will begin in the launcher at the top left of the top of the screen on the left. I'll give a countdown, 3, 2, 1, race. The cars will come firing out of the launcher from top to bottom. They will pass out of the bottom of the screen on the left, and they will show up at the top of the screen in the middle. They will come from top to bottom, passing out of the screen in the middle, and they will show up at the top of the screen on the right, our finish line camera. The cars will come from top to bottom, crossing the finish line, and the winning car will be indicated with a solid red light. The losing car will be indicated with a flashing red light. So, losing car, flashing red light, winning car, solid red light. That is what is going to happen. The races are best 2 out of 3. And in the event that a car crashes, we will throw out the results of that race and we will restart the race. If a car crashes twice consecutively, then that car is going to be disqualified. And that's just how it is, because if a car crashes twice consecutively, odds are that there is something going on with the car that simply rerunning the race is not going to resolve. So if a car crashes twice consecutively, it is disqualified. Otherwise, like I said, it's best 2 out of 3, and the cars switch lanes after each race. So we are going to have this race. Or a series of races. We are going to find out which car is going to challenge the Gazella R and possibly become the new fastest in fleet champion, or if the Gazella is going to continue its march toward March and the Blitz Speeder. So we are about to hit the track, and I'm going to gather up these cars, and I will see you over at the track in 30 seconds. Okay, let me just double check. Let me just double check the audio, of course, make sure that I didn't knock anything loose during the setup process. And 1, 2. Yep, audio is good. Track is ready. Cars are ready. I'm ready. And we are going to see what kind of results we're going to get today. Let me take off these two test cars that I use when I'm getting the track put together. And let's see, we've got the Velocita. We have got the HW50 Concept. We've got the Gordon Murray T.33. We've got the Subaru Impreza, the Cupra E-Racer, and of course the Gazella waiting for the winners. Let's just go ahead and jump right in. We'll take Roughshod's Velocita up against the Hot Wheels Concept 50, HW50 Concept. And all that I'm hoping from this race is that this HW50 car does not smash into one of the barriers and get knocked completely out of any possible contention for future races. So the best case scenario for me, low expectations, is I just want this Hot Wheels 50 concept car to survive. If it wins, that's gravy. So here we go. We've got the Velocita in lane number 2. We have the HW Concept 50 in lane 1. Race 1, here we go. Three, two, one, race. And the Hot Wheels concept car made it down the track. It was slow, but at least it didn't crash. And perhaps as slowly as it was moving, even if it had crashed, it might not have enough force to do any damage to its to the axle. That was a slow race, and I don't know if these cars are both slow or if they just got a bad launch. But that was they were not those cars were not moving at speeds that are going to suggest that the Gazella has anything in the world to worry about. So let's get these cars lined up again, switching lanes. So we will now have the Hot Wheels here, Hot Wheels 50 concept car in lane 2, Velocita in lane number 1. We are ready to go. Race number 2. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Okay, that was better. Maybe they just got a bad launch. Velocita takes it, and the Hot Wheels Concept 50 car, it stayed on the track. Low bar for that car, but there was nothing about it that suggested it was going to be fast, and it lived up to those expectations. So it is going into the fleet, but it is also going into the losers section of today's case. All right, next up, let's go with I want to see this F1 car. That's what I want to see. So we're going to go F1 car versus the Gordon Murray T50. And this F1 car, there's apparently a new partnership between Hot Wheels and F1, and we're going to start to see more of these cars. This is the first one, the Oracle Red Bull Racing Hot Wheels F1 car. It is in lane 1. We have the Gordon Murray Automotive T50 or T33. what was the other one, the T.33? Whichever one this is, the Gordon Murray Automotive car is in lane 2. If it wins, then I'll like learn its name. The F1 car in lane 1. The F1 car is the one I have a lot of hopes for. So F1 car in lane 1, Gordon Murray lane 2, race 1. Here we go. Three, 2, 1, race. F1, Gordon Murray car said, learn my name because I'm going to win this race. And it is the Gordon Murray Automotive T.33. So I'll put some respect on that car's name. And it beat out the F1 car. And I think, remember, the F1 car was extremely light. It was the lightest car that we had going. And I think that does not always serve a car well, to be that light. It was 6 grams. I believe it was about 26 grams. And that is very light. I think you need like a little bit of weight behind you, which is why I have been saying that the sweet spot seems to be that 32 to 36 grams. That range seems to be the one. But we have more. I mean, you can't become a champion by just winning one race. You got to take 2. So we have switched lanes, and now Gordon Murray Automotive T.33 is in lane 1, up 1 race to none. And the F1 Oracle Red Bull car is in lane 2, ready to go. Here we go. Race number 2. Three, 2, 1, race. Similar race, same outcome, which was the Gordon Murray Automotive car taking the race. But the part that was interesting was that the F1 car had a bit of a lead, but the Gordon Murray Automotive car caught it towards the end, so it started to slow down. So I think, if I just had to take a guess, we see heavier cars slow down toward the back end of the track. And, their weight comes into play, so gravity, one of the forces that is operating against them, I believe, comes into play, slows those heavier cars down. With the Gordon Murray Automotive, with the F1 car, it's so light that as it got toward the back end of the track, I think it's not obviously gravity's working against the car. It's working against both cars, but I think that drag in the air and trying to push through the air, I think that drag slows the lighter cars down toward the back end of the track. That's just my guess, because we've seen this a few times. But nevertheless, the Gordon Murray Automotive car moves ahead and is moving on. And next up, we're going to have the 98 Subaru Impreza 22B STI version versus the Cupra E-Racer. So let's get these cars lined up and see which car is going to be moving on. We've got the Cupra with this, it's got an interesting thing. It's got this metallic plum paint job, but when you see it in the light, and you look at, and the light reflects off it in different ways, it kind of turns blue. It goes from this plum to blue, which is kind of cool. And we've got the Subaru in lane 1. Cars are lined up, ready to go. So Subaru lane 1, and the Cupra E-Racer is in lane 2. Race 1, here we go. Three, 2, 1, race. That was a good, solid race. The Subaru pulls it out and is trying to move on to join the 2 other cars in the semifinal round. And we are going to switch lanes here. and put the Subaru will be in lane number 2, and the Cupra E-Racer will be in lane number 1. So you've got the Cupra in lane 1, and we've got the Subaru in lane 2. Cupra, and all right, we are ready to go. We've got the Cupra in lane 1, the Subaru Impreza in lane 2, and we are going to find out if the Subaru can make it 2 in a row, or if we will go to our first third race of the day. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. The Subaru took it straight, 2 in a row, and that's all we've had. We have not needed a third race in any of these situations so far today to determine a winner. And the Subaru took it. Subaru looked good, and now we are going to go and move on to have the we'll take the Subaru against the Gordon Murray T.33, and then the winner of this matchup will take on Roughshod's Velocita, and we will see which car is going to be today's champ. So we're going to go with the Subaru, is going to be in lane number 2, and we're going with the Gordon Murray T.33 in lane 1. So Gordon Murray T.33 lane 1, Subaru Impreza lane 2, race 1. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Woo. Another really good race. Gordon Murray takes it. As you can tell from the indicator lights, once again, flashing red light means that car lost. Solid red light means that car won. And in this case, Gordon Murray won. So we are going to switch lanes and then see if the Subaru can come back, take a race. All right, let's see. Subaru will be in lane 1. And the Gordon Murray Automotive T.33 will be in lane number 2. And we are ready to go. Gordon Murray lane 2, Subaru lane 1. Race 2. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Okay, Subaru, see you. So we're going to have our first third race, and we are going to find out which of these cars is moving on. The Subaru took that one, and it wasn't as close as the first race, but the Subaru took it. So we're going to go with Gordon Murray, switching back over to lane 1, and the Subaru will be in lane 2. And this race will determine which car moves on to the finals against the Velocita. Subaru, lane 2, and Gordon Murray, lane 1. Okay. And here we go. We've got, once again, Subaru lane 1, Gordon Murray lane 2, race 3. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Woo. The Gordon Murray car was ready to roll. The Subaru crashed and flew off the track. So we are going to have to reset that race and see if the Subaru can't go ahead and stay on the track so that we can find out who's moving on to the finals. We have, let's see, All right, Gordon Murray. That car was fast. It looked ready for that race, but unfortunately, once the Subaru crashed, that meant it was a restart all the way around. So Gordon Murray's lined up once again in lane 2. Subaru lined up in lane 1. It is 1 race to 1. And the winner of this race will move on to the finals. So here we go. Subaru lane 1, Gordon Murray lane 2. Three, two, one, race. Subaru took it. And we have our finals matchup. It is going to be the Subaru Impreza 22B STI version versus the Velocita picked by Roughshod. So we are going to line these cars up and see who is going to actually go and challenge the Gazella R. This is, let's see, these cars haven't looked particularly fast today. That could be a function of the launcher, or it could be because there is a rubber, an elastic band that I have in there, and I switch it out usually about every 2 weeks, or when the cars start to look a little slow consistently. But I think the band is okay, and we are going to find out which of these cars is going to move on. So we've got the Subaru Impreza in lane 1. We've got the Velocita in lane 2. This is race 1. This is the finals. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. We've had some close races today. I had to check the lights at the end, and it looks like the Subaru just pulled it out at the end. The cars were pretty even, from my perspective, all the way down the track. And that was an extremely close race. So I think that as we move forward, it's anybody's guess and anybody's game as far as which car is going to take this next race. So we are going to put the Velocita in lane number 1 and get this car lined up here, and the Subaru is going to be in lane number 2 right there. All right, this is race number 2. We've got the Velocita in lane 1. We've got the Subaru Impreza in lane 2. Let's see what happens. Three, two, one, race. Woo. Subaru takes it. This is it's kind of a surprise. I thought if I had to rank beforehand which cars I thought would finish in which order, I really thought that Red Bull F1 car would do better. I definitely thought the Velocita would be right behind it. I thought that was the finals matchup we were going to see. Velocita against the Red Bull F1 car. But that is not to be, which is why we have to take the cars to the track and race them. And now we're going to find out how fast this Subaru Impreza 22B STI version really is, because it is going up against the Gazella R. So let's get these cars lined up for the fastest in fleet. That's what's on the line here. Fastest in fleet supremacy. Which car is going to be the car? We're going to put the Subaru in lane number 2. We're going to put the Gazella in lane 1. The Gazella has beaten cars from every position, and we're going to find out. The Subaru looked pretty quick. I don't know that it struck me as a car that's going to be faster than the Gazella. If I had to guess, which I'm about to do, I think the Gazella beats the Subaru by a couple of car lengths. So let's see what happens, though. You never know. Here we go. Race number 1, Subaru lane 2, Gazella R lane 1. Three, two, one, race. The Gazella beat it, not quite by as much as I expected, but, you know, whether you win by a millimeter or a foot, it doesn't matter. You still won. And the Gazella beat out the Subaru. The Subaru is now going to switch lanes, and we are going to find out if it can compete, if it can somehow manage to force a third and final race. We will find out momentarily as I get these cars lined up here. And we'll get the Gazella in lane 2. We will put the Subaru in lane 1. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. And pretty much by the same margin, here comes the Gazella back, and the Gazella remains our fastest in fleet champion. The Subaru did fine, and against most other cars, it would probably be fine, but the Gazella R is just different. So let me gather up these cars, head back into the garage, and take a look at some of the winners, some of the losers, and what we have coming up next. So I'll be back in just a few seconds. And once again, the Gazella R is our fastest in fleet. It remains our fastest in fleet car. It is just the, yeah. Roughshod said, it's stupid fast. Yeah, it is. And it is not really faced a lot of competition. That race that it just had against the Subaru was decent. It wasn't a noticeably fast car, but it just couldn't even measure up against the Gazella. And the one that I was really disappointed in was this one. It's this one. It's the Formula One car. And as I mentioned, I think my theory is that on our track, you have, and it's one of the reasons why I set this up as a drag track instead of a gravity track. With a gravity track, a heavier car is going to gain momentum as it moves down the slope of the track. And ultimately, if you want your cars to go faster on a gravity track, you can increase the angle at which they start and they'll move faster. They'll have more kinetic energy. On our track, it's different. The cars start off going as fast as they're going to go. And from that point on, forces are working against the car that ultimately are going to serve to slow the car down. So on a gravity track, you're starting off slow, you're getting faster. and then you get slower. On our track, you start off fast and get slower. And so if we get a heavy car on our drag track, the forces, I mean, basically working against it, there's drag, which is the air that's flowing over, under, and around the car. We have friction with the wheels hitting the edges of the track, and if it's bouncing back and forth. And then there's gravity. And with the heavier cars, we've seen them slow down at the back end of our track. So they're going, and then it looks like the lighter cars just take off, but there's no engine in the cars. So the gravity is pulling on those heavier cars, slows them down toward the end. The other cars pass by them, they lose. In the case of this car, the really light cars, you're talking about, it's not going to be so much that I think gravity is slowing them down toward the back end of the track. I think that it is drag. And so they're having to push through the air. And even though this is this Formula One car, aerodynamic profile is great. However, it doesn't have the weight it's going to need, I think, to continue to push through that air. And I think that drag starts to have more of an obvious impact on the car toward the last back third of the track. So if you have a heavy car, it's going to slow down toward the back end of the track. If you have a really light car, it's going to slow down toward the back end of the track, but for two different reasons. One, gravity, the other, drag. I think that's just a theory right now, but as we have more races, which is what I tell the students, we're just collecting data. We're having fun racing the cars, but we're collecting data and information. So that's going to be something that I start to look out for more and more as races occur. The cars that slow down towards the back end of the track, what do they have in common? They're either really heavy or they're really light. Other than that, we don't really see that kind of noticeable slowdown. And it's definitely interesting. And I think that if this Oracle Formula One car, I think if it was a little heavier, if it was in, we've said that sweet spot is about 32 grams to 36 grams. I think if this was about at least 4 grams heavier, because I think it was 26.3 grams, like it was really light, it was 26 something. If it was a few grams heavier, I think that it could have done much better because it could have held its lead toward the back end of the track. But that's just a theory right now. I'm glad that this car is here. I like the look of it, although I'm not so much a fan of the yellow on the wheels. I think that could have been done better or improved in some way. But hey, at least the car is here. And I'm looking forward to seeing what other F1 cars are introduced, and if hopefully the design is different. And if the design is different, and it's not just a different paint scheme and group of logos on there, then I'll be excited to see how those perform on the track. I like that they're, open wheel cars, but the front wheel is protected, so no risk of any damage occurring. We did have the Hot Wheels 50, the HW50, this one, that was just slow, and there was I never expected it to be anything other than pretty slow, and it lived up to all of those expectations. The Gordon Murray car was definitely a good car that in most circumstances is going to do very well in most races, but it did happen to run into this Subaru, which kind of caught me by surprise with how well it did, but it's just compact in size. The weight was pretty good, and it did well. But the aerodynamic profile, when we're talking about that car and we're talking about the Gazella, we're just not talking about, it's just not an even playing field. And when you think about, again, drag, which is one of the forces that is operating against these cars, and the faster an object moves through the air, the more drag is a factor. How can the air flow over, under, and around the different cars? And I think with the Gazella, it's pretty easy to see that airflow and just the design of the car should reduce the level of drag when compared to sort of a standard car like this. We're going to have, this kind of larger front end section, the windshield at the traditional angle, and but nevertheless, that Subaru did perform pretty well, and I'm not mad at any of those races. We had some good solid races. As I mentioned in the past, especially when we're talking about drag, I am still waiting on shipping information for the wind tunnel that I ordered, that I supported on Kickstarter, that I'm there was apparently they had some confusion. They needed me to take some other step to confirm my shipping address. I did that, but haven't received any shipping information, and it's been a week, 2 weeks. So I've been sending emails almost daily trying to find out what's going on, when this is going to show up. There is there was a point where shipments from Hong Kong, I got caught up in the whole tariff situation, and orders were on hold and things because manufacturers and people just didn't know what the costs were going to be or whatever. Either way, they should reply, and I'm hoping to get some more information and get that wind tunnel here soon, so that some of these ideas we have about the cars and how they're being impacted by drag and their design and aerodynamics, we can actually test those out by taking a look at the wind tunnels. So that is something that is on the way. And every week, every Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific, I am here. We are racing cars. We are looking at Hot Wheels cars, old, new. You'll have an opportunity to select your car. All you have to do is go to AtTheTrack.live, select choose a car, and we are up to 809 cars, minus the Gazella, 808. So you have 808 cars to choose from. 808. That's quite a lot. And if you go to AtTheTrack.live and select choose a car, you can see all of the cars. And there are so many that, this is something. Do it during the week, while you're at work on the lunch break, while you're just bored in a Zoom meeting. Have a second window open and just scroll through the cars and check them out and find the one that you think would be faster than one of the cars that we have introduced. And all you have to do is take the number, and Roughshot's calling his shot for next week. Okay, you can do that. So let's see. 198 is the car that he's picking. Let's see. 197 is the Enzo Ferrari. Okay, 198 Iridium. This one, I remember one student picking this about 2 years ago. This is an interesting pick. So Roughshot's all in on the fantasy and the fantasy cars, and it's a good thing because the fantasy cars have such crazy designs and little elements that you wouldn't find on traditional cars, that you never know exactly how they're going to perform on the track until you actually get them out on the track. So I'll write that down. This is car number 198. I'll have that for next week. And we will pull this car, weigh this car, take a 360 view of the car. And if you have a car that you see that you would like to pick, all you have to do is simply go to AtTheTrack.live, go to choose a car, scroll through it, find the car, and I will pull it and we will take it to the track. I think so. See, we have this one, this F1 racer, this one, and I don't remember if this one had another wing on it that broke off, or if this is just how the car is. But I think that this car would probably, it might have some of the same issues that the F1 car had today, because I'm presuming this is going to be a really light car, and it may or may not be impacted by drag. It has a lower profile than the other F1 car, but you never know. But if that's the car that you want to pick, you take the number 220 and you drop it in, and let's see, so Roughshod, he's got a system, a mental list after looking down the list so many times. Yeah, there's 800 cars. It's crazy. 800 cars and counting. There's at least that many that I have in storage. Now, how many are duplicates, we'll find out. But just right here on the desk in front of me, I've got at least another 2 weeks worth of cars, and there's some over here and just all over. So we are not going to run out of cars, and I am going to keep listing these cars, trucks, each week. And here's the other thing: the search function on the website through Squarespace is just terrible. It doesn't work, and I tried working with the company. They couldn't fix anything. So if there's a car that let's say, for example, that you are looking for this one, the 2010 Ford Shelby GT 500 Super Snake, and you don't want to scroll through 800 cars looking for it. If you already know the name, just go to our Instagram account and send me a message, or go to the website, send me a message, and just ask me, hey, Coach James, do you have the Super Stinger? And then I can go to the database. I can say, yep, it's car number 303. It is the Super Stinger. That's it right there. So if you know the car you want, then go ahead, let me know. I'll find it and pull it. If you don't know the car that you want, that's fine too. Just scroll through, take a look. I've gone through the trouble of creating this website and cataloging these cars, and while it was kind of slow and tedious work for a while, I am happy at the results, because all of the cars are listed and cataloged. And I go, I'm on YouTube all the time looking at Hot Wheels races. Most of them are gravity track races and things like that. But I haven't seen another channel that has this many cars just listed, available to be selected and chosen. So I think it's just a unique thing that I'm glad we have. Obviously, I did it for the online version of the All About Aerodynamics program, but it also helps, because once you have your cars in cases on a shelf or wherever, you don't remember which cars you have. And honestly, sometimes I'm looking through this list and I don't remember some of these cars. But here they are, and it's a good gallery. And just, if you're into Hot Wheels, I don't even have to explain it. So we've got 808 cars, 809 cars in the fleet, 808 cars to choose from. And all you have to do is find the car you want, send me the number, and I will pull that car, and we will race it. Look at this one. I like this one. This Supra, like that. This hot wired, clearly a F1 inspired car, but it's got these little skinny wheels at the front, which is something that I liked about the F1 car that we had today, is that the wheels, it was standard wheels on the front. It wasn't these little funny car wheels in the front. So I don't know. I thought it would do better. It didn't, but you never know what's going to happen next week. I will be here next week at 11 a.m. Pacific time, At the Track Live. We are going to race Hot Wheels cars. We are going to have do some reviews, have some fun, and we're going to find out if any car can beat out the Gazella R, or if the Gazella R is just on the road. It's like the road to WrestleMania, except this is the road to March 29th and the showdown with the Blitz Speeder, the championship rematch. So until then, for All About Aerodynamics and At the Track Live, I am Coach James, and until next time, I'll see you at the races.